Hi, my name is Brooke Hazier. I'm a senior in the Governor's State Community Health Program. Today I'll be talking to you about my program Warrior, which provides healthcare workers 7 ways to decrease stress and improve mental health. As a physical therapist assistant, I can attest to the toll taken on one's mental health as a result of working in healthcare. Although a career in healthcare can be very rewarding, the intense workload, emotional trauma, and poor working conditions can often leave healthcare workers to cope with stress, anxiety, and depression all alone. Unfortunately, this issue is nothing new and has been a problem long before COVID-19. However, the constant media coverage of the topic has helped bring attention to the situation. It is so severe that 2 healthcare workers in New York took their own lives. Once I saw this on the news, I knew something had to be done. After doing some research on the topic, I wasn't able to find any peer-reviewed articles in the United States. However, I did find studies conducted in China and India that I find quite relevant. I retrieved this information from a study conducted in Wuhan titled Mental Health Problems Faced by Healthcare Workers Due to the COVID-19 Pandemic. After administering several surveys, they found that 50.4% of their workers reported symptoms of depression, 44.6% with anxiety, 34.0% with insomnia, and 71.5% with distress. The next article I found was Prevalence and Predictors of Stress, Anxiety, and Depression among Healthcare Workers Managing COVID-19 Pandemic in India. I like this study because they administered their surveys via WhatsApp, so it's more convenient for the healthcare workers. For those of you who aren't familiar, WhatsApp is a free messaging app for smartphones commonly used in other countries to avoid international charges. The surveys consisted of the Generalized Anxiety Disorder 7-item, Patient Health Questionnaire 9, Perceived Stress Scale, and other miscellaneous psychological questions. The results found that 78.9% reported moderately high stress, 11.4% with depressive symptoms requiring treatment, 17.7% requiring anxiety treatment, and 50% not satisfied with workplace support. Now, 11% and 17% don't seem like a lot, but we have to take into consideration that these are people who required treatment. A lot of them could have gone without treatment, but still had signs of depression and anxiety. I also found it very alarming that half the workers weren't satisfied with their workplace support. They're risking their lives every day to treat these patients. The least that the hospitals can do is provide some support for them. So here's what I want to do. Create a program that is easily accessible and convenient for healthcare workers in order to decrease stress, anxiety, and depression related to everyday battles of their careers. My project is called Coping the Warrior Way. Warrior is an acronym for 7 techniques to help reduce stress. W. Write. A. Activity. R. Relaxation. R. Rest. I. Invest in you. O. Open up. And R. Remove. Each technique will be described in further detail later on in the educational video. The first model I'll be applying to my program is the multi-level approach to community health, also known as MATCH. This model is a 5-phase model which includes goal selection, intervention planning, program development, implementation preparation, and evaluation. The first phase is to establish goals. My goals are to increase knowledge of coping mechanisms by 50% within the first month, increase satisfaction of workplace support by 20% within the first month, and to decrease prevalence of anxiety, depression, and distress by 15% within the first 3 months. The second phase is intervention planning, which addresses targets, objectives, and interventions. My target population is healthcare workers. However, since the program is new, I will begin with just nursing staff, specifically nurses working at hospitals in Will County. Once the program's proven effective and refinements are made, I would like to expand my audience. My objectives are similar to goals, which are increase knowledge, improve mental well-being, and create a supportive work environment. Lastly, the intervention I chose to educate the workers is a brief video and a table to go along with it, sent out via staff email. I figured nurses are so busy, I want to make it as convenient as possible for them, so they could watch it on their own terms and on their own time. Also, with it being sent out via email, if they like it, they can easily share it with others. In Phase 3, Program Development, I chose my surveys, created my table, and created my video. In order to gauge workplace support, I created my own survey, which asked the employees to rate the statements 1 to 5, 1 being strongly disagree, and 5 being strongly agree. It's out of 25 points, and I'm considering any score over 20 to be considered satisfied with workplace support. For depression, I'll be using the Patient Health Questionnaire 9. To see the percentage of stress, I chose the Perceived Stress Scale. And lastly, for anxiety, I will be using the Generalized Anxiety Disorder 7 item. All of these questionnaires were utilized in the study I mentioned earlier, so I'd like to keep things as consistent as possible because I think it'll be interesting to compare US results to other countries. Feel free to pause and go back if you're unfamiliar with any of the questionnaires. Here's the table that will be sent out, which easily breaks down each technique. I'll be sharing the video I made with you later in the presentation. During Phase 4, Implementation Preparations, I will be meeting with hospital administrators and directors of nursing to review ideas and set up implementation, such as administering baseline surveys and then following up a week or two later with the educational video and table. During the final phase, I'll evaluate the effectiveness of my program by re-administering the original surveys I gave out at month 1 and at month 3. I'll also include an additional survey asking about the program. Questions will include, did you watch the video or read the table? If yes to both, did you prefer one over the other? If no, why not? Did you learn new techniques to improve your well-being? Have you tried any techniques since watching? If you answered yes to the previous questions, did it help you relieve stress and anxiety? The next model I'll be applying is the Comprehensive Health Education Model, also known as CHEM. It involves 6 steps, which includes involving people, setting goals, defining problems, designating plans, conducting activities, and evaluating results. It goes into a little more depth than MATCH. However, I think these models work really nicely together just because of how simple they are. You don't get your intervention lost in all the extra steps. In order to develop this program, I brainstormed with some of my health worker friends just to kind of talk about the difficulties they face every day and ways that they can help. I'll also want to talk to specialists, which include counselors, therapists, and psychologists, just to get a better outlook on the mental health and get their perspective on it as well. And then, of course, I'll have to bring in management in order to distribute. Before I set my goals, I want to define my problems so my goals can reflect fixing them. Some of the problems are the lack of outreach for workers suffering from mental health disorders, too many workers feeling overwhelmed by work stressors with no way to cope, increased levels of depression, anxiety, and distress in healthcare workers, and the risk of burnout. The goals are the same that I mentioned previously in MATCH: to increase knowledge of coping mechanisms by 50% within 1 month of program, increase satisfaction of workplace support by 20% within 1 month, and decrease prevalence of anxiety, depression, distress by 15% within the first 3 months. This step is similar to program development and MATCH, where I am choosing my surveys, making the video, making the table, stating my objectives. The only thing is this one also has a timeline. So for my timeline, I want 80% of nurses in each hospital to be exposed to Warrior in 1 month of implementation. As I mentioned before in the last model, the surveys I'll be using are the Patient Health Questionnaire 9, Generalized Anxiety Disorder Scale, Perceived Stress Scale, and Satisfactory Survey of Workplace Support. Now it's time to implement the program. I'm going to start with a brief in-service, probably via Zoom with the hospital management, just to educate them on what I'm doing, and then I'm going to provide them with the table and video to share with the staff via email. I already shared with you what the Warrior table is going to look like, but now here's a quick look at the video. Brooke Hazier, a community health student at Governor State University. I'm here to share with you an acronym I developed to help healthcare warriors like myself cope with the everyday battles our careers throw at us. WARRIOR is an acronym for 7 helpful ways to reduce anxiety, stress, and depression. It stands for write, be active, relaxation, rest, invest in you, open up, and remove. Many therapists suggest keeping a journal to help you structure your thoughts, which reduces anxiety. It suggests to journal 15 to 20 minutes a day to really allow you to reflect and unwind. You can use an old notebook or even invest in a mindfulness journal, which includes prompts and questions. When writing, try and reflect on these topics. What were your successes and failures for the day? What negative emotions did you feel today and what caused them? What are some future goals you have for yourself? And what are possible obstacles that can get in your way? Next is be active. Research shows that exercise is linked to the release of endorphins, which help us manage stress and feel good. It's also believed that the increased circulation during exercise can help flush out stress hormones. Even a brisk 20-minute walk once a day can help. Meditation and yoga are just a couple relaxation techniques that can help you activate a state of zen and restfulness that counterbalances fight or flight hormones. Try a guided meditation app like Headspace or stream free yoga videos online. Be sure to get your rest. Research shows that getting less than 7 to 8 hours of sleep decreases your body's ability to cope with stress. Try incorporating meditation techniques if stress is keeping you up at night. Invest in you. Find a hobby or activity you like. Studies show that engaging in activities that bring you joy can lower stress by almost half and decrease heart rate. Also, be sure to take time for relaxation and pamper yourself. Open up. Whether it be a friend, family member, coworker, or therapist, it's proven talking face-to-face with someone can help release hormones that reduce stress, anxiety, and depression. Lastly, remove yourself from the situation. Be sure to take advantage of vacation time and don't be afraid to say no if you're willingly picking up more hours at work. Removing yourself from a situation and taking a break can increase your mental and emotional outlook. Also, removing yourself from technology can also have a substantial impact on reducing stress. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you find these techniques helpful and incorporate them into your daily lives. Remember, you are strong and you are a warrior. Please seek medical and professional help if your mental health problems are severe and you're having thoughts of suicide or self-harm. Lastly, evaluating results. Just to review, I will re-administer the original surveys along with the additional survey about the program. I'll then compare the results between baseline, month 1, and month 3. Although WARRIOR's aim is to improve mental well-being, I understand the severity of mental health disorders and do not claim that WARRIOR can be a cure. Please seek professional help if you're having thoughts of self-harm. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you've learned something new and even try one of the techniques yourself.